a theme in mine is beaches.
I did notice a theme in yours was beaches.
That is, I mean, maybe it's the year of Coral Chris. Maybe Coral Chris is like here to stay.
Maybe
and like
he is.
Here to stay, here to play.
It's a lifestyle.
It is a lifestyle. Thank you for acknowledging that.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Worldwide Honeymoon Travel Podcast, the podcast that talks about all things couples travel, including destinations, tips, advice, and more. I'm Chris.
I'm Kat.
And this is episode number 203.
It is.
We are coming up on 4 years.
I know. The other day I was like, oh yeah, I've been doing this for 3 years. And then I remembered that it's actually going to be 4 years because we started this in 2019, a year before the pandemic. Almost like to the day we started it. We started recording, I think, in actually in January. I think we released at the end of March 2019.
Yeah.
So we are coming up on a 4-year anniversary here in a couple of months. So yeah, that's wild to me.
It is wild. I have really enjoyed it, though, because I feel like I've kind of found my voice a little bit. Normally, I am not, I still do not like being on camera. You know that. As far as, a video thing. I don't mind, throwing up a smile.
I know. He hates whenever we have to do TikTok videos.
I just do not. I don't know. Maybe that is my next calling. But I have really, really enjoyed this. It's a way to kind of, really document our own travels, kind of think about how we're growing, and most importantly, encourage other people to go out and see this beautiful world that we live in.
Yeah. And to keep that honeymoon going all the time. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's very exciting. I can't believe we have over 200 episodes. We have had our biggest month ever on the podcast, as far as downloads and all that stuff. So thank you guys for tuning in. We get emails from around the world, and that's really fun. So we love hearing from you guys. If you ever want to reach out to us, you can also leave us a 5-star review. That always helps us grow even more, on Spotify and Apple and all the different places that you can leave a review. A good 5-star review always helps. So if you're liking what you're listening to, leave us a fun review. And we always read those and enjoy hearing feedback from you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was a pretty big weekend for me. I paid up on my bet. We're even.
It's about time.
No.
Christopher, as you guys have, if you guys have been listening. No, I know. Christopher, if you guys have been listening, I guess last month we were talking about the World Cup. We made a couple of bets. Christopher lost the big bet of who wins the World Cup, because I lost the points. You did the bracket challenge. You lost.
Right. So we did a draft of teams, and then they would earn points for wins, ties, and then they would obviously keep winning points as they advance throughout the tournament. I won that. So you had to take me out to dinner, but we also did a bracket, and you won the bracket. This is due to my refusal to move France past England, and this is what happened, right? So I had to cook a 3-course dinner from the country that won the World Cup, which was Argentina. And I would like to, if I can toot my own horn here, I think it was pretty darn delicious.
It was.
It was really good. I made provoleta and chimichurri for an appetizer for course uno. And then I made onion and cheese empanadas for the second course, which were really good. And not using pre-made empanada discs or dough. That dough was from scratch.
Yeah.
And then for the third course, I made choco torta, which was really good.
So what is choco torta for the people that don't know? Because I just learned what it was on Saturday.
I just learned what it was last week. I had never heard of it before. Choco torta is a layered dessert, kind of like a tiramisu texture, I will say, but not like the fluffy tiramisu. So it is a layer of chocolate cookies that are quickly submerged in whether it's coffee or milk, or there's a port wine or a Kahlua version and all of that. But we used coffee. So you submerge these cookies in coffee, and then you make a layer of those at the bottom of your baking dish or just dessert dish, I guess, because you don't bake it. And then you mix cream cheese with dulce de leche, and you spread a layer of that over the cookies, and then you repeat until you run out of one of them. But the top layer should always be dulce de leche. And then I got fancy and I shaved some dark chocolate on top of ours, and then you just put it in the fridge and you let it set. But it was really good. I really enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
Did you as well?
I did. Yeah, I finished it last night. My part.
What was your favorite of those 3 dishes?
I really liked the provoletta, I think. I really enjoyed like the cheese with the chimichurri sauce.
Yeah.
And we put it on a baguette, and it was very delicious.
It was very delicious.
We ate that whole thing.
Yeah, we
in one sitting.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Anything else you want to chat about? What was your highlight from the weekend?
Yeah, well, we had a date night Friday night. We went to L'Albatross, which is on the east side of Cleveland. It's a French restaurant that we've never been to, and it was so good.
Really good.
We got something called the mushroom French toast. So it was like a savory French toast for our appetizer. Got some mussels and fries. You got the vegetarian cassoulet. And then we had to get, whatever this cherries Jubilee.
I'm sorry, whatever.
Well, I've never heard of Cherries Jubilee and you were like, yeah, I love this.
You're going to put some respect on a top 3
good.
dessert in the world.
Is it really?
Cherries Jubilee is a top 3 dessert. Okay. Easy.
It was very, very good. We split that, and then they had a cheese, which is, I guess, an almond cake with cherries and things like that. It was very good with ice cream and all sorts of things. I love Cherries Jubilee. Yeah. And then they have like a cheesemonger, and you can order the cheese board, and they will come around with like all these different cheeses, and you just pick which number of cheeses you would like to have, along with various accoutrements to go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was great.
Except never tell you what your favorite cheese is. Oh. Or you'll just throw it on the ground.
This is the second time in our entire relationship.
Second time in 2.5 years that you have specifically asked me while we are sharing a delightful cheese plate, which one of these is your favorite? And I, like a fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, you can't get fooled again.
I thought it was fool me once, shame on you, fooled me twice, shame on me. So it's more of your problem now.
Haven't you seen the President George W. Bush clip of fool me once, shame on you? Fool me, you can't get fooled again. Well, have you seen this clip?
No,
it's really funny.
I've never seen that.
It's really funny.
I thought you were making an Office reference at first.
No, it's really, really funny.
It seems like something Michael Scott would say.
I got fooled.
Okay.
Because in Vermont, you asked me which of these is your favorite, and I pointed it out, and you threw it on the ground.
That was an accident. I picked it up, and it fell out of my hand.
Fast forward to this past Friday at L'Albatross. Again, which one is your favorite? I really like this one. Oh, great. Goes to stab it with a knife, doesn't get a clean contact with it, and it ends up pop right onto the floor.
Fell on the ground. I did, to be fair, when the server came around, I asked her for another one because I accidentally dropped it on the ground.
It was really funny. As soon as it happened, I started cracking up and we started talking about Vermont. But yes, what was your highlight from this weekend? Or let me rephrase, which part of my dinner was so great that it was the highlight of your weekend?
I was going to say L'Albatross was...
I have that written down as my highlight,
favorite.
Too. That place
was
good.
Of the weekend. Yeah.
That was really, really good. Favorite really dish there?
That's really tough. Everything was really good. The mushroom French toast, though, was very tasty.
That was the best. That was the best dish that I had as well. But yeah, Cherries Jubilee. Was that your first time having Cherries Jubilee?
I'd never heard of it before.
Catherine,
I feel like you're like pulling my leg here, and I'm trying
really,
not to believe you.
Cherries Jubilee is really, really good. It is in the top 3 desserts for me, along with
as of Friday night.
No, as of all time. I always, because you don't. there's not a lot of places that like have Cherries Jubilee because it's more. What are you laughing at?
The way you keep saying Cherries Jubilee, I just feel like you're messing with me.
No, I promise you I am not messing with you.
But like when she was describing it, you were like, oh yeah, of course, I love Cherries Jubilee. But Christopher will do like long game jokes like this to where like I will not know.
And then like 8 months later, I'll be like, that was my first time having Cherries Jubilee.
Yeah, exactly.
This is not that.
Okay.
It is Cherries Jubilee, tiramisu, and bread pudding. Those are the top 3 desserts. Worldwide, people know this. And yeah, this is like a universal...
According to Christopher.
No, this is like a universal understanding. Like people have gotten together to talk about this.
What, you and your high school friends?
No, no. This is like the International Confederation for Desserts.
Now I know you're lying.
Known as ICOD.
Okay. We need to move on from this.
But in all honesty, I do love Cherries Jubilee. That is, that was not the first time I've had it. But like I was saying, it's not often on restaurant menus. That is not the point of this episode. The point of this episode is to make some travel recommendations for 2023. Maybe it's to specific restaurants that serve Cherries Jubilee, but maybe not.
Our number 1 on the list, Cleveland.
Cleveland?
Cherries Jubilee.
Yes, which was a special...
Maybe have some pierogies while you're here.
It was a special dessert that evening, too. So there's like no guarantee that we go back, but now I know they have the ingredients for it.
Well, now I know your favorite cheese on the cheese board, and I'll just can keep throwing things off of it next time.
Great.
Like, oh, you liked the drunken goat cheese? Bah!
Not anymore. All right. 2023 travel recommendations. So each of us came up with 5 destinations. We have the area, we have why we are recommending them, but before we even get into honorable mentions, because I'm sure you have an honorable mention or two, we did not discuss the methodology for this. So maybe there is
I tried to, and you were like, no, let's not.
Well, I didn't
Let's
want
find
to...
out when we record.
Well, because look, I mean, I think that over the years, we have kind of similar travel styles. And if we said, hey, we are both looking for like big cities, right? Like we think that that's going to be like a big travel trend. I think that we would probably come up with maybe some of the same ones. So I was trying to like, I wouldn't be surprised if one of mine is on yours. But I was trying to keep it like as secretive as possible. So what was your methodology? How did you go about deciding these 5?
I mean, I have looked at like travel trends. What are some up and coming travel destinations? There's also a combination of places that we're potentially going to or plan to go to soon in the near future. And our own bucket list sort of factoring in here. But also I think this trend has been sort of happening lately just due to over tourism and then COVID and everything too. Is just more off the beaten path places. So not your London, Paris, New York, that sort of thing. Not that there's anything wrong with those places, but I think for a travel bucket list for this year, maybe more off the beaten path is sort of my methodology. Again, in a combination of some places that we might be going to and up and coming and fun places, I think overall, just in my research.
Okay, so I took kind of a similar approach here. Okay. I started just writing down like things that would kind of inspire me or steer me. I wrote down old favorites, right? Like if there is something that we had such an incredible experience at, like thinking back and like, I mean, this is a couples travel podcast, right? Like if we were able to really, really connect as a couple somewhere, or just like, I find it coming up a lot in conversation, I was like, okay, there's a reason that that's happening. I also started to think about like places that could change, whether kind of like you said, due to popularity, or like due to environmental factors or what have you. Yeah. And then I also tied in popularity to, I wonder places that like just aren't visited quite often for whatever reason. Maybe they're like far out of the way. Maybe there like is like a more well-known destination close by, so people will just kind of default to that. But those were what I was thinking. I will say that going along your like off the beaten path, I did look up some tourism numbers for a few countries.
Oh boy.
Because I looked up on mine, I was like, oh, that would be like kind of cool to visit. Does this fall into that theme? And I looked up the annual visitors for some of mine.
Okay.
Just for a bit of perspective here.
Mm-hmm.
Guess how many people visit France in a year?
I do believe it's the most visited country in the world.
Okay.
I would say like half a billion.
217 million.
Okay.
Approximately. How many people visit the U.S. a year?
And this isn't including people in the U.S. that are already traveling. This is like...
I think it's international visitors.
International visitors.
Yeah.
I would say maybe 100 million, 150 million?
79 million.
Okay. I'm like... So whatever I think, I just need to half that.
Yeah. So France, approximately 217 million. The U.S., approximately 79 million. South Africa, a country that both of us dearly love. We had a fantastic trip there. We're going there with your parents this year. 10 million. Mm-hmm. And that's not an easy country to get to.
Yeah.
Cambodia, one of the world's like premier draws, being the Angkor temples, mm-hmm. right? 6 million annual visitors.
But that's a very small country, so
it is. That's
that's quite a lot of people, and I bet you most of them are going through Angkor Wat.
Right.
And Siem Reap, yeah.
Those were just kind of some numbers to kind of like set the table here, because
Now what about Kiribati over here?
I did not look up Kiribati's
stats and data
because Kiribati is not on my list.
Okay. Are all these on your list?
Are all what on my list?
The ones you just said
No, they are not.
Okay.
None of those are on my list. I was just kind of doing it for like a little bit of perspective.
Okay.
Let's start with some honorable mentions. Did you have an honorable mention?
Do you have any?
I have 2.
Okay. I have 2, and I can go over them pretty quickly. One is, this is just based on tourism and travel trends. Now that Japan is open, I'm sure plenty of people will be going to Japan. This is definitely not an off the beaten path destination, but I feel like that is certainly a place where you're going to see more people wanting to go to Japan in the future, specifically because they haven't been able to for a long time, and now they're reopening, and that's great. So, obviously you got Tokyo, Mount Fuji, lots of temples, obviously the monkey park, where you have the monkeys that sit in the hot springs, which is a lot of fun. But lots of draws to Japan: food, culture, music, just so much. So many incredible things. So easily a country that a lot of people would like to visit. So I just see that as like a forecast of places to go. And then, so that's why it's an honorable mention. Obviously, it's not off the beaten path or anything like that.
Sure.
My other one is in France. And I know that it is the most visited country in the world, but I am talking more about places like the Loire Valley, known for its castles and its wine, and people doing more like focused trips to France. Now, not just because I'm like, look, I write about France for a living, so too. But
if there were like a resource that would talk about some of these.
Oh, stop! I'm not trying to shamelessly plug France Voyager, but I'm very proud. That blog is growing as well, and I'm very happy about it. But I feel like, the big reason why I wanted to start France Voyager is to talk more about other places in France, because there is an interest to see more than just Paris and like Nice and like a couple of the cities in the south of France. Like, I think the Loire Valley is a great draw. Lots of history, tons of castles. There's castle hotels that you can stay in. Very picturesque. It's known for its white wine, especially Sancerre. So yeah, great place to go and visit. And then also, this is one I have been like really researching recently, and I'm very interested in going to, is the Pyrenees. So kind of near it's part France, but it's also part Spain and Andorra. But I think this could have the potential to be a great ski destination. I mean, it is a ski destination in the winter time, but also it's like half the cost, and it's significantly cheaper than going to like the Alps, and definitely a lot cheaper than going to like Aspen or something like here in the United States, but pretty low cost. It's great hiking in the summer. There's some cool pilgrimage sites, lots of neat history there. So I think the Pyrenees would be a really cool place to check out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I have 2.
Okay, what are yours?
My first is Cuba.
Okay.
And this, just like, I don't know, for like over like the past like 3-4 months, I've really been drawn to visiting Cuba. And I think it is I think it could be a place that kind of falls into that things could change aspect. Like I'm so enamored by the idea of Cuba and visiting, and it's a place that I would like to visit sooner rather than later. Mm-hmm. The other one is, I said at the top of the episode, like the whole idea of this, right, is to like inspire you to like go out and like see the world. This is a beautiful place. Go experience it. Blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I think that we're looking so far out that we don't like we kind of like skip right over our backyard. Mm-hmm. So my other honorable mention, I wrote down your backyard or closest cabin/woods. Like we have had so many.
Not just our particular backyard in Cabin Woods, like
right, like
everyone.
Your individual,
listeners,
like
you guys,
right, like something that wouldn't even take. I mean, something that I'm thinking like maybe 2-3 hours max. You could go, you could kind of like escape a little bit, disconnect, cabin in the woods sort of thing, and we've had fantastic weekends, evenings, what have you, just like in that environment, just being able to like. Step outside the house, even though it's like right there. It's not like a huge trip, but I think that there's a lot of value in that type of travel as well, and kind of just like connecting with the areas around you.
I really love that idea because you're right. Like it's something you can easily do on a weekend.
Yeah,
just quick getaway. Feel like you're really traveling, doing stuff. I mean, you are really traveling, but like yeah, I think
it's a shift of perspective,
yeah,
right? Like
exactly.
It's not something where you can just like sit on the couch and be like, oh, I could empty the dishwasher or change over the laundry or do this, because like you're not going to do that there. Mm-hmm. Right? It's truly like a relax, reconnect, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first in our lists of 5?
Are you going from is yours in any particular order?
Nope.
Okay.
I just listed them as I thought about them.
Cool. All right. You can go first if you want.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
My first one is Granada. Is this on your list?
Spain or the country?
The country,
gotcha.
Granada. Is it on your list?
No, but
okay.
I did think about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Granada has less than 200,000 annual visitors, approximately.
That's insane because
right?
I look at photos and I'm like, I feel like that's an island I really want to, like in the Caribbean. I think like
that's like up there next for me.
Yeah. Grenada.
Well,
Cuba. Grenada, like Jamaica, other things like, yeah.
So Grenada, I mean, I'm looking at the pictures as well, right? Beautiful beaches, clear water, that equals snorkeling. Mm-hmm. They also have something called the Underwater Sculpture Park. Have you heard about this? There are literally sculptures underwater that the coral is growing on. So they're trying to stimulate and promote coral growth.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, which is kind of a neat. I mean, especially like while snorkeling and stuff. Lots of natural attractions, so you get that kind of like nature, wild kind of vibe. There's also the agricultural aspect of the island. It is nicknamed the Spice Island. Mm-hmm. So a lot of those like cinnamon, cloves, allspice, that kind of stuff, just fantastic. And quite frankly, like beach, water, all of this is going to make for a pretty relaxing time.
Yeah, and isn't it a pretty lush?
Very lush.
Island as well, so great for hiking and waterfalls and
yes,
all sorts of things.
Absolutely. So Grenada is the first nation on my list. Okay.
My first area that I am going to talk about is Kelowna in British Columbia, Canada. So I have been to Quebec, the region of Quebec, and I've been to Ontario. I don't know why I blanked on that for a second, because we've been to Toronto, I've been to Montreal, I've been to Quebec City. We are we're hoping to make it out to British Columbia later this year to explore more. That just seems like a fantastic province to explore anyway. But this area in particular, Kelowna, is along the I'm sorry if I don't pronounce this correctly, Okanagan Lake. So lots of cool beaches along the lake. There's opportunity for boating and diving in the lake. And it's a very hilly / mountainous region area. So lots of great hiking. There's obviously skiing in the winter, hiking in the summer, but it's also well known for its wineries. So that's a really interesting place to go and explore. Yeah. And not so popular like, Vancouver. Not that people don't know about this area, but
sure.
Yeah,
it's probably not it's not what people's minds going to jump to when you think of visiting Canada.
Yeah,
Perfect
exactly.
example.
Yeah. So I think that is a really cool area that I'm very excited to hopefully explore later this year, but that just seems like a really fun, not up and coming necessarily, and not necessarily completely off the beaten path, but certainly a place that I think, again, most people wouldn't think to go to when you're thinking, oh, I'm going to go visit Canada.
Sure.
Yeah. But wine, hiking, lakes, mountains, beautiful scenery, all of the above sounds really delightful to me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
My second one is not from a off the beaten path perspective. Mm-hmm. My second one is Rome.
Nah.
Why did you just chuckle?
No, because, you're like, it's not exactly off the beaten path. Rome.
Rome. We went to Rome this past year as part of a greater trip throughout Italy.
You may have heard of it.
Oh my gosh. I loved Rome. Again, I am not a big city person.
Yeah.
There are two big cities that I really, really, really enjoy, and those are Paris and Rome. Rome was incredibly romantic, I thought.
Romantic?
That was great. Incredibly romantic. An absolutely just amazing atmosphere. Great food, great wine, great gelato, great everything. Mm-hmm. So there's definitely the indulgence and the culinary aspect to it, as well as I wrote down perspective. I feel like a lot of the time we can get so caught up in our own individual lives or what have you, right? That I think Rome was great at providing a bit of perspective, walking around the Colosseum, just walking around Rome in general, seeing all of these magnificent structures. That it really just kind of reinforced for me, okay, we are but a blip, right? So it's nice to have that perspective. It's nice to do
The place where Julius Caesar was stabbed is now a cat sanctuary. Remember the cat sanctuary?
I do, yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's just it's kind of a nice reminder of life goes on, right? Time marches on. And it's not a bad place to come to that realization when you're dining on absolutely delicious food.
Yes, and not only does Rome have delicious local food from its area, from the city as well as the Lazio region, but being the capital of Italy, you can pretty much find almost any type of food from Italy throughout Rome. I mean, there's lots of restaurants both from the region, but also you can get stuff from other places as well. And if you're going to go, I highly recommend staying in the Trastevere area because it is not nearly as crowded as where all the big touristy spots in Rome are. So great place, a little bit more laid back and fun. All right, number 2 for me is the island of Vieques in Puerto Rico.
Hey.
Yeah, and I am actually going here in May I'm going to Puerto Rico for a travel conference, a travel blogging conference. And so I'll be in San Juan for that, but I am going to spend a couple of days over in Vieques. And not only, it's stunning. It has amazing beaches. It has the island's only black sand beach. There's a lot of history there. There is the Puerto Fierro Lighthouse, and the last Spanish fort on the continent is located in Vieques. Obviously, great food there. And then also, the big draw is to go check out the bioluminescent bay.
That is incredible.
And that is where you have the bioluminescent plankton.
I should have said that would be incredible. I have never experienced it.
Yeah.
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 I'm really bummed that I cannot join for that one.
I am bummed that you can't join for it either, because I'm going to be in Puerto Rico for about a week, and most of it's going to be at the conference and or like trying to do some fam trips and stuff.
Yeah.
And I do plan to go take a day trip to the El Yunque rainforest because I want to see the rainforest.
Yeah.
While I'm there, and then Vieques, and then San Juan.
This is going to be awesome.
So pretty excited about that. Hopefully the weather will be good in May. We'll see, but that's when the conference is, so that's when I'm going. But yeah, Vieques in Puerto Rico, not necessarily, again, not totally off the beaten path. People do know about it, but certainly I think most people, when they think to go to Puerto Rico, they're thinking San Juan. So this is another little place that you can go and check out with fantastic beaches that is not in the middle of a big city.
Great.
So yeah, Vieques, Puerto Rico.
My third destination is a country that has less than 400,000 annual visitors. Madagascar.
Oh boy, yep.
What do you mean, oh boy?
No, ever since we watched the Obama like national parks documentary of the lemurs, were they the leaping lemurs in Madagascar?
I don't know.
You've been like, I want to see that in
do.
person.
So no, Madagascar has 5% of the world's animals and plants. Isn't that pretty cool? 5%.
Cool. Yeah.
It is a fantastic destination for adventure and wildlife lovers, such as yours truly. Mm-hmm. Tons of national parks, tons of areas to kind of reconnect with like the environment and all of that.
And it's a massive island.
It is a massive island. I believe it is the world's 4th or 5th largest island, if I am remembering correctly. It also has a nature reserve / part national park. I always butcher this. Tsingy de Bemaraha. And that is the one with the lemurs, the forests, the huge limestone juts. The Tsingy, it means the place one cannot walk barefoot.
I would imagine so.
Challenge accepted.
No. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, Madagascar is, because I think like when people think like, oh, I'm going to go visit Africa, right? I think a lot of people think Kenya, Tanzania, I mean,
South Africa, Morocco.
South Africa,
yeah.
Right, rightfully so,
yeah.
Right? Again, Madagascar just takes a little bit longer to get to. It also, something that I was reading about that kind of drew me to it a little bit more was that it doesn't have the infrastructure as some of the more popular African nations. Mm-hmm. I had a blast with that in Uganda.
Yeah.
And I think that
I mean, those roads put me to sleep, so.
Yeah, that's true. But I think that also goes to the fact that like it, I mean, in a good and bad way, it kind of determines who is willing to visit those sorts of places. Mm-hmm. Right. So yeah, that was kind of a plus in my book for that. But Madagascar, number 3.
All right. My third one is an off the beaten path safari destination. So still in Africa here, and that is Zambia. So definitely very remote, certainly off the beaten path for safari. I think most people, again, think of South Africa, Kenya, Tanzania, places like that for safari. So it is the place where I believe the walking safari was a concept that they came up with. So there's the opportunity to go on a walking safari.
Is that something that you would ever want to do?
Yes, because I feel like if they're advertising it and you're going through a reputable company, they're not just going to be like, we'll just drop you off in front of some lions and see what happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that. I would 100. Anytime
like, I feel like they have like some safety protocols that go along with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. You also have the lower Zambezi River. So you have some great canoe safaris. So that's another great perspective to see. You know, it's not necessarily known for all of the big 5, but it is known for elephants, buffaloes, lions, and then also some more unique animals like the Chauchet's zebra and I wrote it down, but I can't read my handwriting. It is a Thornycroft's giraffe. Giraffe.
What are the zebra and the giraffe?
I looked up pictures of the giraffe. They don't look too terribly different than like other giraffes you see, but the zebra,
okay.
Well, but it's some other, I don't know.
Tell that to its
But
face.
I will say that the zebra has different types of ears, so it's pretty interesting to see.
How many of them?
I mean, it has 2
8?
ears. Yep. 8 ears.
Ears everywhere.
Ears everywhere.
No, that's cool though.
Yeah. And then of course, Victoria Falls. So another perspective, you can go check out Victoria Falls and do all of that stuff. So Zambia, a lot of cool stuff. I mean, and you're definitely not going to have, you know, as much as we loved the Masai Mara and going on safari there and how epic that was, you're not going to have a bunch of cars crowded around a leopard in Zambia, because there just aren't that many places to go on, or there aren't that many people going on safari in Zambia versus the Masai Mara or Kruger or something like that. So for sure, lots of great national parks. I could go on, but that would be a fantastic country to visit.
Awesome. My number 4 is the other one that I was, along with Grenada, I was like, this could be on her list. Golfo Dulce in Costa Rica.
No.
Yes. All right. Then I don't think we're going to have any.
I don't think we're going to have any overlap.
I don't think we're going to have any overlap either. This was a little slice of heaven. Mm-hmm. Absolutely gorgeous, lush jungle. You hear the parrots. You hear the macaws. You hear the ocean or the Gulf right there. We stayed at Playa Nicuesa, which was, I will say, like a nice little introduction to really rustic rooms, right? It was, I mean, it had running water, all of that kind of stuff. But you also had the option to like just have the screen up if you wanted. It had bug nets. It was a nice little, like I said, like you're kind of like stepping a foot in. I would say it's more than a toe into this style of lodging.
Kind of like glamping.
Yeah, a bit. Yeah. It's
pretty rustic, but it's not rustic. I feel like the place here was really
nice. It was gorgeous.
But yeah.
Yeah. But they also just, I mean, there's hiking, there's boating, there was surfing, there was snorkeling. We saw dolphins, we saw monkeys, beautiful birds all around, mm-hmm. right? Really, really pretty area. And again, like you take a boat over from Puerto Jimenez, and you're stuck there. Not stuck, but like there's not the opportunity to like just like go wander off, or like it really kind of just forces you to slow down and appreciate where you are and really kind of connect with the area.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and it's definitely remote. You know, you can't just drive up to this lodge that we stayed at and we had the beach to ourselves, because there's not that many people there aren't too many people that stay at the lodge. It's pretty small. And yeah, if you go at the right time, you can have the whole beach to yourself, and it's absolutely stunning.
Yes. Playa Nicuesa and this area is forever going to be a place that I will recommend to others. We had close friends of ours that actually ended up visiting, 4 or 5 months after we did, mm-hmm. and they raved about it as well.
Yeah.
So definitely a place to travel in 2023.
For sure. Number 4, I'm going to go with the North Island of New Zealand.
Nice.
So we're hopefully going to New Zealand later this year. We're kind of in the planning phase of some of this, but obviously people know the Auckland and Wellington, some of the big cities there, but there are lots of adventures to be had. I think a lot of people, when they think of visiting New Zealand, I think the South Island gets a lot of the action, because you've got Queenstown and the adventure capital of the world there, and you've got the glaciers and the fjords and all this really cool stuff that people think about when they think about visiting New Zealand. So North Island, definitely worth a visit as well. There are, of course, the cities like Wellington and Auckland. If you're a Lord of the Rings fan, they have Hobbit Town, so where they filmed, is it the Shire in Lord of the Rings?
I do not know.
Where, like, they all lived, the hobbits lived.
That is the Shire.
The Shire. There you go. Lots of great wine regions that I think people don't think about when they think of New Zealand, because most people think of either Central Otago or, like, Marlborough Sound. But on the North Island, you have Hawke's Bay, you have Martinborough, and then there are places around Auckland and Waiheke Island. You can make a day trip from Auckland and stuff to go do. There is the Waitamo glowworm caves. So this is your chance to do what is called blackwater rafting. So you are in a cave and you get to see these, for whatever reason, 2023 is the year of bioluminescence for me, but the bioluminescent like worms, glowworms, in the cave, which is pretty cool.
Why is it called black water rafting? Is it whitewater rafting in the dark? So like you can't see what's about to happen?
Well, no. I mean, you can kind of see because I think you're wearing like, when we went
is it whitewater
cave
rafting
tubing?
Though? Yeah.
Kind of like that.
Is it whitewater rafting?
Yeah, but it's not. I don't know if it's like class 3 or 4 or anything like that. I think it's pretty like
got it. Okay.
Gentle. I mean, I don't think you want to do a 5-class rapid in a cave where you can't see very well. So I think it's pretty gentle. You're riding on like a big float thing and you are going through these caves.
Awesome.
The difference is it's inside of a cave versus on a river outside, essentially. Yeah, and then you also have Lake Tahoe and Rotorua, which is where they filmed, is it Mount Doom or what's the... Mordor. Mount Doom. Mordor in Lord of the Rings, but there's also great like hot springs and geysers and lots of cool geological formations in that area. Lots of great hiking opportunities too. Really, really cool stuff in the North Island of New Zealand that I'm really hoping to explore this year a little bit. Yeah. So if you're going to go to the South Island, might as well spend some time in the North Island too. Don't just give it a few days in Auckland or Wellington and head down. Maybe spend a little bit more time there.
Awesome.
Yeah. What's your last one?
My last one has a total of approximately 20,000 annual visitors. You're going there for the National Park stamp, baby. American Samoa. You're obviously not just going there for the stamp. But while you're there, jungles, beaches, smaller villages, there's the hiking in the national park. Yeah, and it's not a place that a lot of people go to, obviously, right? Less than 20,000 annual visitors, which, I mean, in and of itself is kind of like a cool thing for, again, couples podcast, right? Like for the two of you to share.
Yeah.
Right? It's not something that like everyone goes to or everyone sees or what have you. And I would say definitely more off the beaten path. It is a U.S. territory, so there is that, there's that aspect to it as well. But yeah, just kind of a nice excuse also to go see one of the more remote national parks.
Yeah, that's really cool. And then my last one is Egypt. Obviously not an off the beaten path destination necessarily, but I am seeing a huge uptick in travel influencers going there, which means I feel like more people will follow, obviously, with that. So there's Cairo. There's obviously all the temples and the pyramids everywhere. The chance to hang out in the desert, which is cool. And then also you have the chance to go boating along in the Nile River, which is really, really cool. There are certain boats that you can go and stay overnight and cruise along the Nile, which is really neat. And then also the Red Sea is a great beach resort destination where you can go snorkeling and diving and also just hang out by the beach in the Red Sea. So
yeah, Egypt's up there for me as well.
Egypt is definitely up there for me. That would be really fun to go visit. So that's my last one.
Did you notice a theme in yours at all? I noticed that a theme in mine is beaches.
I did notice a theme in yours was beaches.
That is, I mean, maybe it's the year of Coral Chris. Maybe Coral Chris is like here to stay.
Maybe
and like
he is
here to stay, here to play.
It's a lifestyle.
It is a lifestyle. Thank you for acknowledging that.
Yeah. Did you notice the theme about mine at all?
I did not.
Mine was a bit random. I think my theme was just off the wall random, I guess.
Yeah, but all of them sounded fantastic.
Yeah.
There's not a destination on either of our lists that I would not go to.
Yeah. I think both have a good mix, or all of mine have a good mix of nature and other things to do, I guess.
And mine have mixtures of sands.
There you go. All right. Well, this is our 2023 travel bucket list. Let us know your thoughts. Would you guys like to go to any of these places? What is on your travel bucket list for this year? You can always reach us on Twitter at WW Honeymoon, Instagram at Worldwide Honeymoon, or email kat@worldwidehoneymoon.com. But thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to rate and review our podcast. It takes less than a few minutes and really helps other people find us. Also, if you're enjoying this awesome free information on both the blog and podcast, when you're booking your next trip, head over to worldwidehoneymoon.com/resources and use the links provided. We earn a small commission at no cost to you when you book through these links, and these are all brands and companies we know, love, and use, like Skyscanner for finding the best flight prices, World Nomads for the best travel insurance, TripAdvisor for hotel bookings and reviews, and even Amazon for all of your travel purchases.
Thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Wherever you are, wherever you go, remember to make every day a worldwide honeymoon.